Welcome back, Shrub Crafters. This next installment is going to be, so you've decided to pick a gun, and this time you decided to go with a percussion gun. And what does that mean? Percussion gun means that on your gun you have a hammer, and the hammer has a little nipple, and on this nipple goes a percussion cap. That percussion cap is what gets hit by the hammer, explodes, shoots a shower of sparks down in, goes into the chamber, and then ignites the powder, pushing it out. Why did you choose a percussion gun versus a flintlock? Well, the reason is you probably want reliability. If you want your gun to go bang every time, percussion is going to be the best consistent way to do so as a beginner in this sport. This is the Cabela's Pedersoli Cabela's exclusive. It's their version of the Frontier rifle. Pedersoli does make the Frontier. This one is their version, which changed up some of the parts and changed a few things up. In my opinion, they cheapened out some of the parts of the actual other one, but that's how they can sell them for $4.99 as I got this one years ago, and you'll still see them on sale for that. Percussion. Mechanism. This is called your lock. This is your hammer. This section right here is your bolster. This bolster is a little chamber that your nipple threads into. These nipples have little shoulders on them, and you can put a nipple wrench on there. I could not find my nipple wrench right now to save my life for the video, but you can go online, look up nipple wrench, and you'll see it. This is a musket cap. This one I've talked about with the four-wing musket caps. They're a bigger cap than, say, a number 10 or 11, which I'll show you those in a second. But the musket cap has a bigger hole. When they were designed for muskets, large caliber, to get more of a easier loading, faster. And that was one of the things, too, is you're not fumbling around because they've got four wings on them. They actually have little wings. You can put them on. It's faster to load than a number 10 or 11 cap. And they've got a slightly larger hole on the inside. All percussion guns work under the same theory. You got a hammer, you've got a nipple. You've got the nipple has a hole in the middle. It goes into a bolster, and that which goes into the side of the gun. This one has a clean out, which is a little screw. You can back that out. So let's just say you're having problems or it's dirty or you're cleaning it out. You take this little screw out, you can run a pipe cleaner in, go directly into the barrel. Issues I've had with percussion guns. This one especially, there's a video of me talking about the frustrations of it, but probably a fluke of this gun. The lock under here is actually a flat spring. The nipple, when I first got it, is just a standard steel nipple. They clog, and they can clog over repetitive use. Inside of most of those nipple wrenches, which is a little T-handle that fits over here, some of them, they screw out, and there's a little vent pick, or a pick that you can stick down the middle and make sure it's clear. You can also unscrew this and pick it this way to make sure there's powder in there and everything is free from obstruction. As a brand new gun, when you get it and you're ready to go and you're excited, just take it out of the box, get everything together, assemble, whatever you got to do, run some patches down, make sure it's clean. Put in alcohol, isopro alcohol, run it right down, help clean up the bore. You don't want to put any oil in these guns prior. Clean out your gun, have clean bore, ready to go. The manufacturer will tell you in your manual that you want to snap a couple of caps to make sure this is free of debris. A recommendation I would tell you is if you're outside, put a white sheet of paper down, or they tell you against the blade of grass, but it's hard to see that sometimes. But put a white piece of paper down, put the muzzle right over it, pull the trigger, you should be able to see the flash on there. You should be able to see it move, and you should be able to see that, so you know that this is clear. They usually recommend 2 caps, 3 caps to do that. After you have done that, you're ready to put your charge down. You drop your charge in, whatever that be, and then you go ahead and put this cap on. You bring your gun to half cock, which is halfway there, and then that's your safety going through. This gun I can't actually show you. We've talked about this, and I'll talk a little bit more, but my half cock in this gun has broken a couple of times, so it doesn't have a half cock, but that would be your half cock, and these are your set triggers down here. Then when you're ready, you go to full cock. This rear trigger if you have a 2-trigger gun, the rear trigger is typically a set. That sets my front trigger. And I'm going to dry fire this once. You don't recommend doing it because you can damage your nipples a little bit over time. But once that's done, that is hair that goes off. That makes for hunting and target a much nicer shot. So to sum up, you want a percussion gun. Why? Ease of relative consistency to go off. Very few things that will stop a cap from firing. Now, early on in my shooting career, I was using Pyrex. I was using my Lyman Great Plain gun. The Lyman Great Plain is a great choice. It does not use a flat spring inside of the lock mechanism, which is a traditional style. It uses a coil spring, very similar to pistols that have coil springs in their grips. Coil spring that you'll see sometimes if you have a semi-auto, you pull it out and there's a spring underneath there. It looks like that. However, it's a good gun. There's some issues. People say fit and finish, all that. Look, we're getting guns, we're getting products made overseas, we're getting products made in America. It doesn't matter where you're getting them. Stuff has a lot of issues, including my sitting Fox that I have. You can work around those. But out of the gate, what stops a gun from firing in percussion mode? In this case, your bolster can be actually too long because it goes into the side of the barrel, that it actually sticks across the channel and is very weak in the amount of flame that can get in here and go off. Very rare to have that happen anymore, but used to be a common problem back in the day. So if you find a nice used gun and you're having some problems, you're 100% sure that your cleaning procedure and the gun is clear. You've taken this clean out screw on the side of the bolster off and you've cleaned that out with pipe cleaners, you know everything's good, you're still having ignition problems. That's possible on what it could be possible. The only way to do that is know what size barrel you have, measure across it, divide that barrel in half, take the threads out, count your threads, and see how deep you are in. You can always sand down and polish up the inside of that bolster, shorten that up a little bit, and that might help. Something else that probably could be causing this, and this is something that you can look at first, is your nipple. Make sure the nipple is not deformed. Make sure back your nipple out. Buy extra nipples. They make one called the Spitfire. It tends to run a little bit of a bigger internal bore. It works very, very nicely. And I think it might be even titanium. But they do work. They are nice. And I see one of the Shrub kitties in the background. But the nipple, the nipple may be your problem as well. Sometimes those are too far. Sometimes they've got something underneath them. So backing those out, having clean nipples, making sure your nipple is clean and lubed and not full of gunk. That's also something that can cause these to go. Barring that and the bolster, the number one thing that's going to cause you having issues with the gun not going off consistently, and early on in my career I had a lot of issues with my gun being consistent. I missed 3 deer because my cap went off and the gun did not fire. Even though I had just snapped caps and done everything I thought I was doing, and I'll tell you what that was. I was using boar butter. Boar butter is a product that is a lubricant that comes on bullets, and I had been using it in the gun, and I was not cleaning my guns with what I call the hot water method, and that is very, very common. It's actually the easiest and simplest way to clean these guns. I was using boar solvents, boar cleaners, black powder, special cleaners, everything I could do to clean these guns, but the simplest one, which was hot water. I have a video on how to hot water clean. You can check it out. But by doing that, I was getting an accumulation of crud down in here. Now, as that was building up, it was allowing the Pyrex, and again, I was using Pyrex, not black powder, but that Pyrex was building up and fouled up dirty, and these are, black powder, it's fouls, it's dirty stuff. And as that was caking and building up on the inside here, no matter what I was doing with the cleaning motion and the rags down there, I was just packing it in there. And that is something that actually they don't tell you. Nobody tells you. Be careful on what you're doing on there. Hot water method, clean. When it's super hot, what happens is it starts to evaporate everything in there. So you pour it down, clean it, and then what I do is I tend to, I'll try to run, if I remember, I'll try to run a patch of isopropyl alcohol down there once, pull it out, and it evaporates everything, and then I'll run an oil patch if I'm going to store it. And if it's going to be longer term storage, once it's completely good, I'm going to run some boar butter down in there and just coat everything nice, ready to go. The problem is then before I go, I'm going to have to clean all that out and make sure everything is free of that boar butter, because I just don't want any rust in the barrel. And and the bore butter lightly used, and again a little bit will coat this. It's nice, and it typically still goes off, so I'm not too worried about that unless you get into lighter grains. So those are really the only things that go wrong with a percussion gun, is that maybe you've got an issue with the nipple being plugged, you've got an issue with your clean out being plugged and buildup, or the other stuff in the barrel. Neat thing is, let's just say that you've got everything going on in here, it's not going bang, you're still having trouble, your nipple's clear. These little screws on the side are nice because you can back them out, pour powder right down into there, make sure there's powder actually down in there, and then close it up, recap it, pull the trigger, and usually can get these to fire. No matter what you choose, I'm going to tell you the best advice when buying anything regardless, is buy the one that you like. If it's sexy to you, freaking buy it. Look for good deals. The biggest safety consideration I'll tell you, if you're going to buy a used muzzleloader, if you don't seat your bullets all the way down on the powder, and there's a void. On light powder charges, it's not so bad as if people are running stout charges, but you can get an actual bulge in the barrel down here. And that's why you'll see me sometimes pushing in there, because I'm feeling, is it compressed? And I've got marks on my ramrod telling me what an empty gun is. You drop it in, it's marked one way, and then I'll do my charges. I got a 20 charge, 50, whatever I'm running, and I've got that, and that's going to know that I'm seated to the same depth every time. It's hard to tell on a bulge. How do you figure that out? But what you can do if you're at a gun store is put your jag on, which is this cleaning tip on the end, right here. Or if it's a 50 cal, get a 50 cal, or close to it with the jag, and run it down with as tight a patch as you can, and you want to feel consistency all the way down. If all of a sudden it slips and it's open somewhere along the way, you'll feel that difference. And I would be cautious. Bring a bore light, drop it down, look in. You're looking for rifling, everything that would be normal. Rust, doesn't matter. You're looking for obvious problems. If you don't see any obvious problems, you don't feel any bulging, you're probably good to go. No matter what nasty black powder gun you have, it can be cleaned up probably to almost new again on the inside with some elbow grease, with a 50 cal cleaning brush. And I take my cleaning brush and I put steel wool on it and wrap it tight, and then go up and down, and you can clean the bore out. And with the hot water method, you're going to get a spotless bore again. No matter how bad and nasty it is, you can probably clean it up. And I just did that with that Virginia flintlock Richmond one I picked up. Was pretty nasty down the inside, and I was hesitant, but I knew I could clean it up, and that wasn't an issue. It was everything else working. Check the lock, make sure it goes to half cock, make sure it goes to full cock, check the triggers, make sure that the set trigger works. If it's a single trigger, make sure that it works and it drops everything, no problem. And you're probably good to go. Look at Gun Broker to see what things are selling for. Obviously, we're in a pandemic. Things are going a little bit more, and we're during hunting season, things are much higher. But my suggestion, if you're new to this, I've got a few places that I really enjoy shopping, but you can check out Dixie Gun Works is one. Jedediah Star is another. There's another place called Cherry's Firearms, and Log Cabin, and Track of the Wolf. Track of the Wolf is really a good building site as well as supplies, and so is Log Cabin. Me personally, I've started shopping at Log Cabin a lot more. Nobody sponsors me. Nobody gives me free stuff. Hopefully they see this, start giving me free stuff. But my choice lately is to go there because every time I call Log Cabin, I talk to Liza, and she knows the catalog, she knows the parts, and say, hey, look, I need this. I can't remember what size this is. And she grabs it, says, oh, you need this, 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 and everything I get is on. They ship well, and it's nice. Track of the Wolf, I've called, and I've been stuck on hold before, whether it's just they're busy or what. I've just and I bought a lot from them, so I'm not knocking them. It's nice that when I call, I get the same woman every time at Log Cabin. And they seem to always have everything stocked, and their pricing is great, and they ship right to me. So I kind of like Log Cabin. But look around, buy from where you want, pick up whatever you want, get whatever you want, and make a decision on how to do it. You don't need anything fancy. All you need is powder, buy some patches, and some lead balls, no matter what size. Pick the caliber for you, and this will be the last thing I say on here, but there's a misconception that the bigger the caliber, the heavier the gun's going to be. I've seen this on the long rifle forums, and my 36 Traditions weighs more than my 50 cal, because you've got less metal in the bore, even though I've got a similar size barrel, and the way it's tapered, so it's actually a larger diameter hole. It's a little lighter weight. Both are full stock. Both have most of the same thing. And my custom 50 that I have, is even lighter than this one, because the way my uncle built it. So larger the hole, potentially the lighter it is. But you're also, at this flip side, you're going to use more powder to get that charge down with a higher foot-pound, and you're going to beat up your shoulder. So if you don't want to beat up your shoulder and you want to hunt, deer or light-skinned animal, you can get away with a 50 all day long, or a 45 caliber. If and if it's legal in your state, go with a 40 caliber. 36 will kill them. Coming out at 1,600 feet a second, I mean, geez, it's more than enough, but it's not legal in my state, and it may not be in yours. So look what you want to do with it, and pick accordingly, and don't settle. Buy what you want. And if you think it's a fair price, do it. I've had people tell me Percussion guns are a waste of money. Well, I'll tell you what, my Percussions are more consistent than my Sitting Fox, and it's more consistent than my Lyman Great Plains was at one point in the career of that. And I've had great luck with them, with the exception of this lock. And I think it's just something with this lock that has had to be repaired twice, and it's not anything I'm doing. We ruled that out. But pick what you want, get what you want, and don't worry about it. Don't worry about if it's historically accurate, unless you're going to go to some rendezvous camp and you're going to do that. And in these days of COVID-19, most of that stuff's not even running. Hopefully I've touched on everything with percussion, and you've got a better insight on what you want to do. Don't be afraid of the Traditions. Tradition makes some great kits. If you want a 32, there's the Crockett rifle. They make a shorter deer rifle. So if you want quick, following around, trailing, Traditions makes some great stuff. Pedersoli has a full lineup of everything they make. And actually, Flintlocks, etc. I don't know if he's still in business. I hope he is. He's one of the importers as well, along with Jedediah Star and these other cherries that I've mentioned, Dixie Gunworks. Check all of them, see who has what in stock. They're all great resources. I know the guy from Flintlock, etc. When I needed flints and I didn't know the size, I said, hey, it's for this Pedersoli. Can't find something that fits. He goes, yeah, you need this size, and boom, I was done. See what you can find, get what you want, and if they sell a starter pack, get the starter pack and experiment from there. We'll do patch thickness and ball selection and how to kind of work up a load in a separate video, but that's percussion, and that hopefully will get you going in the right direction. And if you're up for a challenge and you don't mind the challenge and you don't mind even more quirks and sometimes frustration, go with a flintlock. And flintlocks are up next. Okay, quick edit to the percussion video because I was able to find these. Flask. These are this is a reproduction Italian made or Navy Arms made flask. It's metal. It's anti-static and it has a spring on top. They have this one. I don't think this one I have never. Normally these unscrew. I've never used this one. This is actually in a presentation case I have, but this one, it kind of have a whole horn and setup for one of my rifles. But these typically were sold as percussion gun ones, and this would be a 10, 20, or 30 grain spout typically, so you could open it up, pour in the powder, and then that little bit in here should measure out to the same. Just another way to store these. Cappers. This is a straight capper. What you do is on the back side here, you've got this hole, and you pull it back, and it allows access to the caps. You drop them in, they go forward, and then there's a spring compression right here, and you're going to seat that onto the nipple and strip away. So you push down and pull away. This style right here I like as well. These are convenient. I think these hold 10 caps. This one holds 50 or 100 caps. This is a Ted Cash capper. It has a little lever here, and you lift up. Easier said than done. I'm trying not to spill my caps. There we go. So you have your caps inside, and you kind of shake them, and they 90% of the time go up. And the reason I like this one is because you can hold a bunch, so when you're target shooting, it's a little actually less of a profile, so even though it's fatter, than this one. It is actually less obtrusive, so and it fits nicely around your neck, or it goes into a pocket, or I keep mine clipped to my bag, and then I just go strip away. But what's nice is trying to do this on camera, it's upside down, so you push and it drops into place. Yep, drops into place, and then you push down and strip away. Brings me to the next thing on these caps. This is the little tiny cap, little piece of copper, and inside has the percussive. It's very similar to cap guns you probably played with as a kid. What I'll do is I'll drop that back in, and I can actually put it in without opening the whole thing. So I really like this style as well. Cap size, there's a 10 and 11 cap. There are 10 and 11 size nipples. If you're running standard percussion guns, standard nipples, they're probably number 11 size. The number 11 size is just a slightly larger than a number 10. Number 10 is a tighter fit on an 11 nipple, so just a trade secret. I'm saying this now, and as these caps are all hard to find as well, get the 10s. You can run them on your pistols if you have pistols. You can also run them on your 11 nipples, and they're going to stay on tighter, and you push down and they stay on. One of the things on these is that on my Shenandoah, if I run a standard 11 on that nipple, it's right between a 10 and 11 size, probably just from wear. But what I'll do is sometimes I'll pinch the side and squeeze the side of that number 11 percussion cap, and then I'll push that on, and that creates tension to hold it in place. That way, because I have lost them when you turn your gun upside down moving around logs. So having one of these handy, just in case that does happen, because you don't want to miss a shot, and going with a number 10 size percussion cap instead of an 11 will stay on tighter, and the 10 stay on 10 very well. Then the 4 wing caps are the bigger ones that we were talking about. They do make a 4 wing capper. I don't have one because these are just so easy to carry, but this is the big size. You can see how easy that is, and there's 4 wings. And those 4 wings have splits down the side, so when you put them on, they actually hit, they break, and they fall off real easy. They work exceptionally well, so when you're doing volley fire, standing in line at Gettysburg, and those guys doing reenactment, you'll see these sometimes called reenactor caps. This one does not say reenactor caps, but you'll see some that do say that. They don't burn as hot as a traditional one. They still go off. I have reenactor caps, and I have regular ones because that's all the one that my store had during the last Ammogeddon back in, what was 2012, 2016, whatever that was. They had reenactor caps in. I bought them, and they worked just fine. These, though, from what I was told, burn a little bit hotter. That's a big difference between there, but caps, I like these for ease of hunting. I can put them on real fast. I can take them off real fast. The number 10s and 11s work fantastic as well. They do go consistent, but I do find that these, if you're having any ignition trouble whatsoever, buy yourself a musket nipple. Get musket caps. They're just easier to fish out and put on. So hope that helps, and happy shooting.